Hey everyone, happy Wednesday! I'm so glad to see you on this beautiful new upload day. So today what I have planned for you guys is something a little bit interesting. We're gonna get a little bit more in depth with the get to know me kind of video. So I went through some questions here, and if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm reading all the questions I've got on the side of my computer screen. So I will just kind of go through those, but I hope all of you are having a beautiful week, right? We're halfway through the week. We're almost at the weekend. So the first question is, how do you like to pass the time? This is one that I really had to think about a little bit in depth because I kind of pass the time in the same way every day. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so what I do every day is take care of my son and now my daughter, because school's out for the summer. So now I'm at home taking care of twice the load of kids as I'm used to. So I'm here taking care of my kids all day long. All of my days since becoming a mother feel like they kind of run together. They're all one big giant day, right? It feels like it never ends. Those of you who are stay-at-home parents, you'll understand what I mean when I say that being home, being with your children, you kind of do the same things. You get in a habit of doing the same things every day. Not that that's a bad thing. That's a totally normal thing, personally, I think, and there's nothing wrong with that. So my hobbies, as unhealthy as it is for me to admit, I don't really have any because my time is really consumed with taking care of my kids. So it's not healthy, not healthy. I repeat, not healthy to not have hobbies. I started filming and I didn't even realize that I had my light off. All right, so number 2 would be, what are some of your favorite books? Well, that's gonna be a tough one. The only books that I know in my library of my mind are the books that I was forced to read in school. Let me think about that actually. In the 6th grade, we had a book report due, and we used to do book reports where we covered a cereal box in basically art that was the book that we read. And because I am the goofball that I am, I did my book report very seriously on one of the Captain Underpants books in the series. And it was something about a toilet. I'll never forget it because of the way that my teacher looked at me as I was presenting. And not only did I do the book report on Captain Underpants, I didn't read that Captain Underpants. I kind of looked at the back of it for a little synopsis and then winged it. I winged it so bad. It was horrible. But I didn't fail. I got like a C because I remember thinking I was going to fail. I was pretty sure, like 96% sure that that was going to be a giant fail. And it ended up being like a C minus. So for most people, that's terrible. For me, it was a pretty good day. If you know anything about my grades in junior high and high school, they were not something to brag about. No, they weren't. What are some of my favorite TV shows? Okay, this is something that I can actually answer. I'm really embarrassed to say that I really enjoy the Kardashians. I enjoy the Real Housewives series. I enjoy this trash reality TV world that we live in. I don't watch the Bad Girls Club or anything like that, Love and Hip Hop. I've just heard of those and I haven't got into those yet, but I do like the Real Housewives. I like Housewives of Orange County and New Jersey because those are hilarious. Atlanta, hilarious. And those are like my top favorite TV shows. What are some of my favorite movies? Now, movies is a little bit more tricky because I believe I said in my last video, I don't really like to watch movies very much. It takes a really good movie to keep my attention because 95% of the time I'm gonna start a movie and in the middle of it you're gonna lose me. I'm gonna stop caring about what the plot is, who the main character is, what's the point of the movie. Like, I am somebody who thrives off of a 30-minute thing, okay? I like, TV shows. That is why I like TV shows, because they're short, sweet, and to the point. Movies, unless it's something I really, really, really want to see, I'm probably not going to get invested to it. So movies, but I do love Peter Pan. I love the Lorax. I'm very specific on the movies I do love. So Peter Pan, the Lorax, and the Grinch with Jim Carrey. Okay, those are my top 3, my all-time favorite movies. What's the last movie you saw in the theaters? Well, this is one that actually wasn't too long ago. I took my daughter to go see the newest Little Mermaid. I liked it. I did like the movie. I didn't like the panic attack that I had in the movies consistently, but I did like the movie. It was a good movie. I don't know what it is about movie theaters, but I just don't like sitting in an enclosed space. Those of you with like claustrophobia, social anxiety may understand what I mean. I don't know. I've never had to deal with this until I became an adult, where I don't like to sit in movie theaters. So that's something new. The Little Mermaid is the last thing I saw in theaters. What's the best vacation I've ever taken? Well, in my life, I've taken many vacations, so to speak. Okay, meaning I went out of state, or I went to somewhere specific. It was supposed to be fun and it wasn't. So this is gonna sound really goofy, but the best vacation that I've ever taken personally was the vacation that I went on to the hospital to have both of my children get away from people for a couple of days and just kind of chill out. Was it horrifying because a human exited my physical body? Yes. But was it still a vacation nonetheless? Yes. So that would be my answer for that favorite vacation. Where do you want to go on your next vacation? Listen, not there. I'm done having vacations that include having children and bringing children home. As beautiful as an experience as that was both times, I'm done with those kinds of vacations. So, love my kids dearly, but do not want any more. Would you say you're more of an introvert or an extrovert? This is an interesting one. If I could say, I'm honestly a little bit of both. Most of my personality type is extrovert. I love to talk to people, be around people. I've thrived in social situations. As I'm getting older, I'm finding that to be less and less, but I'm finding myself to be more introverted as I get older. I'm not sure if that's just normal or if that's a sign of something, but I think that I can say that I'm a little bit of both. So a little bit introverted, a little bit extroverted. Do I like to work out? That's gonna be a no. I feel like I spend my whole day chasing after a 2-year-old, so that's kind of a workout in and of itself. The other day, I sat weird on the couch, okay, and I hurt my shoulder and I wasn't able to move my arm for like 2 days. So I feel like I'm getting to that age where if I just look at the couch wrong, I will get hurt. And so working out is a big no for me. Of course, most of you may know that I do have a bad back. So a lot of things are not necessarily doable. I can, but I just, at the end of the day, I don't have the energy for a good old workout. How do I feel about cooking? Fine during the actual act of cooking. I feel great. I feel wonderful because I'm about to feed my family. The heartbreak comes after the cooking is done, when there's dishes to be done, and I'm the one who has to do them. Okay? That's where the heartbreak comes into play, is the aftermath of the dinner, of the cooking, I should say. What's my favorite meal? So I'm not a breakfast gal and I'm not a dinner gal. I don't know, again, what's happened to me over the years. I used to be a really big breakfast person. in my early 20s. And now I just kind of eat a moderate sized lunch and then I go about my day. I'm going to be honest. Most of my anxiety and my panic disorder kind of manifests itself in the evening hours of every day. So I don't like to have my panic attacks strike when I have a full stomach. It kind of almost makes it worse. So I avoid eating around dinner time, 7, 8 o'clock type of deal. That's just the way that I've programmed myself over the years, not necessarily on purpose, but just to avoid, you know, the headache that comes with having panic attacks on a full stomach. I don't like it. Maybe it's just me, I'm just uncomfortable. So I just kind of avoid it at all costs. What type of music do I listen to? Well, that's kind of a broad question. Of course, all of you guys know I love some Michael Jackson. I love it. I have loved it forever. It's been a little bit of a downfall for me in my life, but that's okay. We're all different. I love country music as well. So I'm here, there, and everywhere when it comes to my music taste. I don't necessarily like heavy metal. I don't thrive off of heavy metal. I'm just kind of all over the place. Today's music is okay. It's not wonderful, but it's all right. What's my all-time favorite song? I'm gonna say my all-time favorite album is probably Off the Wall. So if I narrow those songs down, it'll probably be Working Day and Night by Michael Jackson, in case you were wondering who sang my favorite song. Who's the first artist or band you saw live? Well, that's a funny story I'd love to tell you. I first saw the Jonas Brothers live. I was about 13 or 14, and I was living in Burbank, California. Of course, media city, capital of the world. Everything is filmed in Burbank, if you guys don't know. Almost everything, anyway. And I had a friend in junior high school, and her mother worked in show business. I'm not sure exactly what she did, but she worked in show business. She managed to score tickets to a Miss USA pageant, Miss Teen USA pageant, and the Jonas Brothers were playing at this specific pageant. So none of us were really, there was a group of like 3 of us. None of us were into pageants, but we loved the Jonas Brothers because they were like huge back then, okay? So we get all dolled up in our little dresses and we go. At this pageant specifically, the Jonas Brothers performed. It was wonderful. I was like screaming. My soul came out of my body. It was an out-of-body experience. It was amazing. I was freaking out. This was the pageant that was probably one of the first things to go viral. And I remember watching this contestant because the question was something about education. And if you remember the clip of the blonde girl just kind of, if you search on YouTube, like Miss Teen USA, bad answer or something like that. I saw this girl in person. I think she was wearing a blue dress, but she just butchered her answer. It was about education in other countries, and she just kind of went off on a tangent. And I remember watching this live and thinking, my God, I don't even remember what the question was, and I'm sure she doesn't either, but I'm glad it's her and not me because her answer was bad. So if you just Google that, I'm sure it'll pop up. It was one of the first things to ever go viral. I will never forget it. Just watching this girl struggle to answer the question in the audience, I was like, there's no way. What is the first play or musical you ever saw? I don't think I've seen a play or musical to this day, so that's a fairly easy question. Do you listen to podcasts? If so, which ones? Not necessarily. I have a podcast myself. It's called Tracy's Talk, just like my YouTube here, just like my TikTok, just everything has the same name. So if you look me up on Spotify, Anywhere that you get your podcast, you look me up, Tracy's Talk, I will be there. I have a few episodes. I've done pretty well with my filming of my episodes. Do I have any hidden talents? Not so much. Do I play any sports? Not so much. Do I have any pet peeves? Yes. It's almost like, where do I begin? I want to say what makes me cringe in life is when people they like to gaslight in situations and make you think that something you did was wrong when in fact it was someone else's doing that made you react to something. People that gaslight really grind my gears. People that are abusive really grind my gears. Only because I was subjected to such things as a young child. I promised myself the environment that I grew up in, it was so just chaotic all the time. There was no real sense of peace. There was no real sense of, okay, I'm at home and I'm safe. It was never that. It was always, I'm at home. Okay, I can kind of rest until the next chaotic thing happens. And then what am I going to do? I didn't have a sense of home necessarily. It was very chaotic. There was a lot of abuse, physical, mental, emotional. I'm sure I'll do a video on that one of these days. Who are some of my favorite celebrities? Not Jennifer Lopez. I honestly don't know. Michael Jackson's just always my number one in everything. If you could have a beer or coffee with anyone in the world, alive or dead, who would it be? Y'all know the answer to that. Michael Jackson. If you could time travel to any period throughout history, what would you pick? That's kind of obvious. How do you take your coffee with a lot of creamer? Are you allergic to anything? Gabapentin. Are you a morning person or an evening person? Being a mother of young children, I'm forced to be both. So, there's my favorite holiday is probably Christmas. How do I feel about social media? Well, I feel like it could be really helpful, and that's why I'm on here, is because I feel that I can do a lot of good with my social media. So that is why I've come back to YouTube. I'm revamping my channel. These few first videos are going to be a little bit awkward because I'm just getting my feet wet back into this thing, but it's never going to be perfect the first time around, so I'm okay with that. That's how I feel about my social media. Social media involving other people, I can't really speak on because everybody kind of does their own things. There's family vlog channels, there's channels like mine that are just, you know, people talking into the camera, and it's fine. And that's okay. That's why we're doing this episode, right? To learn what makes me tick. Also, by the way, I know some of you are going to comment on my face and do I have makeup on? Is it normally this red? The answer is yes. My face is always red. I don't know why. I think as an adult, as I've gotten older, again, age is just really doing wonders for me and my skin. I've developed a little bit of rosacea, it looks like. So yes, my skin is always red. It's not necessarily irritated, but it's always red. So for all of you wondering that, what's my favorite animal? Frogs. Absolutely. My favorite go-to alcohol drink, I don't drink alcohol, so that's kind of a no-go. Do I have any pets? So I have a cat and a little Yorkie dog. So the cat is bigger than the dog, in case you are wondering. What was I like as a kid growing up? Well, that is a deeply rooted question. I was a very overanalytic kid, if that's a word. I overthought just about everything. But that is when, you know, my anxiety and panic attack disorder kind of reared its ugly head when I was about 6, 7, 8. due to that, I couldn't just live a normal kind of stress-free life like I saw my friends living. I worried about almost everything consistently. I worried about what was going on in my home when I wasn't there. I worried about what was going on with my mom when she wasn't at home. Was she okay? You know, if she wasn't okay, would she be able to get to a place where she could be safe if she needed to be, kind of a thing. So I was always living in the land of what if. Did I enjoy school? I want to say elementary school was really good for me. I enjoyed making friends at that age. Who doesn't? I kind of lost motivation because my grades weren't good and I just was focusing on being the class clown. And so, you know, it just kind of presented itself that way. That's where my sense of humor kind of kicked in, my fight or flight response of just being funny if I'm uncomfortable. That's where it kind of came out in my life as a child. So, what was your favorite subject in high school? Lunch. As a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? You know, it doesn't seem like that would be like a loaded question, but it really is. I'm gonna explain it. So when I was a kid, I endured a lot, right? I wanted to be the opposite of what I endured, what I lived through, what I lived with every day. I wanted to be the opposite of that. And I do think that I grew up to be somebody who me as a child would feel safe with today. When did you have your first relationship? That I believe was in high school. And I was always very awkward with my relationships. I never liked people to touch me, hold my hand, like the very basics. I wasn't comfortable with. So my relationships never lasted very long because at the end of the day, I felt more comfortable not being in relationships rather than feeling the pressure of, you know, holding hands, hugging people. I didn't like it. I don't know. I just was uncomfortable with the whole thing. Where do you think your parents did a good job raising you? Um, I think, okay, actually, this is a good one. Where I think my parents, my mom, my stepdad, did a good job raising me was showing me what not to do. So I was given all the examples of what is not healthy. And sometimes people will kind of do that same thing in their adult life, or they'll go the entire different path. I decided at a very young age that I was not going to take that path no matter what, and I was going to do something different with my life. My kids would feel safe at home. I was going to do a 360. My kids would never be, you know, scared in their own house. They wouldn't be on edge all the time. They wouldn't be feeling the way that I felt growing up so much. So I feel like showing me by example, being an example of what not to do, really was probably the best thing they did when raising me. Where do you think your parents missed the mark when raising you? The day they brought me home from the hospital. Just allowing abusive situations to happen in the home, to happen around me, my brothers. I have 3 brothers. I'm not the only child. But just kind of allowing situations that shouldn't have been exposed to children around children. I feel like they missed the mark on that one. What did you love as a kid that you hate now? Socializing, probably. Were you close to your brothers or sisters growing up? I have 3 brothers and I'm pretty close with all of them. One in particular, which is the next oldest one from me. I have an oldest and younger brother, and the one closest to my age, I am the most close to, because we kind of grew up together. He raised me. We always have a joke where I'm supposed to send him Mother's Day flowers when it's Mother's Day, because he raised me. Literally, quite literally, warmed my bottles when I was a baby. So happy Mother's Day to my brother, because he really did that. Are you still friends with some of your friends from childhood? Yes. I do have a very small circle of people that I still talk to, very small, but my circle was always small, so I can never complain about that. Let's see, what was the dumbest thing you ever did as a kid? Okay, if I don't say this, I know my brother's gonna say it in the comments at some point, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. The dumbest thing I ever did was, I used to live down the street from my junior high, okay? Down the street. One day I called my brother if he could pick me up. I could physically see my brother standing on the sidewalk at the end of the street when I asked him to come pick me up in the car. I wanted him to drive like 20 feet to pick me up so I wouldn't have to walk 20 feet. That's the dumbest thing I've ever done. Okay. Awkward, stupid, just not smart at all. So I'll do one about career and goals. Are you happy with where you are in your career? I don't necessarily think that I'm there yet. I really am working hard to make sure that I'm doing things right by my YouTube channel, by my TikTok, Instagram. I'm trying to stay on top of. I'm just being consistent with my content. When I say that I'm gonna have new videos every Wednesdays, that's what I mean. As far as am I happy where I am in my career, I don't necessarily think so. I think I can really take this to a much better place, and I'm working really, really hard to do so. So with that being said, here we had a little bit of an interesting video. They're all going to be interesting nonetheless. I really think that these questions were actually pretty good questions for like my first get to know me video. I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank all 51 of you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much. Thank you for the views. I see every single one of them. I appreciate it. If it's 1, if it's 2 views, if it's 9 views, I'm always appreciative. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. I love you all. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week and weekend, and I will see you on Wednesday.